things that we as business leaders need to be very cognizant of is how we look at the massive change that's happened through the digital economy. Because in reality, there's free trade agreements, but what is very different now than, say, 30 years ago is businesses can go global quicker. So if we look at probably 80% of the most valuable companies on the planet, none of them existed 20 years ago. So what happens today happens with huge velocity. And effectively, the global digital village allows companies to scale up, go global, and do what was impossible 30 years ago. So I think geopolitically, lots of movement, axis, tectonic shifts. However, the thing that's really changed is kind of the impact of the digital economy, the explosion of data, the explosion of devices, 4 billion smartphones of 7 billion population, changed out of recognition, because again, smartphones weren't invented 10 years ago. When I grew up, government was the innovator in terms of technology. So if you look at the invention of DNA, automatic number plate recognition, the guys, what they did in NASA back in the States. So government was kind of the disruptor, the innovator, drove invention in terms of technology. Then business followed, and the poor old citizen was woeful in terms of their deployment of technology. Maybe we're lucky to have one telephone per household, and you're lucky if you get telexes read out at a wedding. The digital economy and the internet has changed everything, almost like infinite data. It's just incredible just on this. I think 90% of the world's data has been created in the last couple of years, 90%, and yet only less than 5% is being analyzed today. So the explosion has happened now, and that's driven by consumers. So there's a disruptive, again, tectonic plate shift from the role of government and their innovation to the impact of consumers. It's probably one of the best kept secrets of the UK in terms of the revolution that's gone in the UK government, because it's probably the most sophisticated now in terms of digital deployment of digital services to citizens. So I think there's been huge successes. So if you looked at citizen services, whether you apply for a driver's license or a student loan, the level of citizen satisfaction has gone through the roof. Digitized services are the best in class, comparable with anything in the private sector. There's loads of innovation going on in terms of delivering really smart digital citizen services particularly. And I think governments around the world could stargaze a bit more, look across the ocean and see what's the best around the world and really get back to connect themselves to their stakeholders, which is citizens and taxpayers and the government today, the ministers that they serve, and really focus on driving stakeholder value for those groups, because I think there's plenty more to do. Chief executives I know have a very strong moral compass, are passionate about serving stakeholders, are passionate about creating something special, meaningful, sustainable for all the participants to play a role in. We start in terms of looking at the customer, and simplistically I think if you've got two sides of a coin in business and you've got your customers and you put everybody in terms of your colleagues and put customers at the heart of the business, two sides of the coin, colleagues and customers, when they come together, magic happens.